G'day, my name's Darryl Webb. Today we're going to have a look at some lightweight stove options. We're going to go for the most popular ones you see the most that are used by hikers or kayakers and things like that. Things where they need to be small, compact, preferably lightweight as well. I'm going to start off with a standard little gas one. It runs on these gas cartridges. We're going to start on a little solid fuel one. We've got a dual fuel one by Coleman that can run on a few different things, and a Trangia style burner that runs on alcohol. Anyway, we'll do some boil tests and we'll just have a quick look at their weights, sort of where they fit in and which ones might suit you. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, we'll start off with the little liquid gas one that runs on these canisters. I'm just going to sort of fill this cup up a bit. I'll do them to the same amount. It's enough to make a cup of coffee type thing, a good sized cup of coffee. And we'll talk about the pros and cons of each one and do the time on the test. Some things you notice, these ones are a bit noisy. The gas cartridges can be expensive, but they're really user friendly. You just screw it on, just like your gas thing at home, turn it on and it goes. Probably should have turned a timer on that. I'll put a timer on. Oh no, we want a stopwatch or start it. I'll add 20 seconds or something to that. We'll see how long it takes. It shouldn't take too long. I'm not going to use the covered lid just because I can see when it's boiling with it uncovered. They would actually boil faster with the lid on, obviously. I'll give that a minute. We'll run through them. Okay, yeah, so pros and cons. Yeah, the gas is a bit expensive for them. Sometimes they don't work very well when it's very cold or at higher altitudes. This is a 4-season mix in this one, so it's got butane and propane. Or isopropane, just lets them work a bit better at low temperatures. So there is different grades of can you can get, different fuels. These work all right. I'd recommend these ones for people who are just starting out because they're just user friendly. They're easy, turn it, light it, start it, go. That's it, too easy. Don't need a windshield. Well, a windshield can help any of them, I guess, but these don't really need it. Some of the other ones actually definitely need a windshield. Right, this guy's actually starting to come to the boil now. We're saying 2 minutes 20 there. We'll put another 20 seconds on it because I didn't turn the timer on straight away. So about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Pretty quick for that's 300 mils of water. No, 400 mils it was. 400 mils of water, 2 minutes 40 seconds. Pretty good. This next one is a solid fuel stove. These ones I like. These are pretty handy. Some of these things can stink, these ones don't. I'm going to guess 400 mil. I might be able to boil it with just that. Now, the only difference with these guys is these guys need a windshield. The gas one, I'm not saying a windshield wouldn't help, but these guys really do need them. No doubt about it. These guys need a windshield. So, yeah, my pot's cooled down. I'll put in another 400 ml of water. I like this one. So what's the pros and cons of these? These are light. Going, yep, that's going. They're very lightweight. You can pretty much any pot stand. The only thing that is sort of bad about them is, like for instance on this plastic table I have to put something down because they'll burn it. These little ones will just burn things. They sit down too low. So let's put that on there. Put that guy up. That's just a little lightweight windscreen. Should help him a bit. And I'll put my timer on. These little tablets run for about 12 minutes. I'm going to say 10 minutes of it is usable. One of their pros is they make a wide heat. The gas ones and the dual fuel ones, they tend to make hot spots. So if you're using a fry pan, these guys can actually be a bit better that they don't hot spot the bottom of the pot. But if you're just trying to boil water fast, the gas ones and the dual fuel ones are obviously quicker. Okay, it's actually slowing down now. At about 8.5 minutes, it was actually getting, it was just ever so slightly boiling, and then it's up to 9 minutes 15 now. It's actually going backwards, so that little fuel tablet's burnt down a fair bit. So I'll call it a pass at about 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes. But I only just barely made it. I probably realistically should have given it a fair chance and used 2 of these little fuel cubes, but one sort of did just do it. Anyway, okay, so obviously these just aren't, even with the windscreen, they aren't as intense as one of the gas or the dual fuel ones. I guess their fuel just isn't as dense. I'm not sure what these things are made of. Some people have called them solidified alcohol. They're a bit like a firelighter, but smell a lot cleaner, these particular ones. Here's a genuine brand esbit style stove. I've never actually used their tablets, but people have said they smell like fish or things like that. These are actually pretty odourless and don't really have any smell when they're burning. So these are the ones I use. Anyway, so if you are really trying to be super compact and really trying to be super light, these are usable, but obviously not the best decision, especially for starting out. You really should muck around with these things a bit at home and really see if that's what you want to take. But they're cheap anyway. I think that's a little titanium stand, and I think it was about, I don't know, $15 or $20 or something delivered. The tablets, it was about $7 for them, for 24 of them. But just to keep in mind, you do need to get a screen. This is a little titanium screen, but you can also just make up your own out of aluminium, out of a baking dish or something like that. They're not hard, you don't need anything fancy. Anyway, on to the next one. Alcohol fuel stoves. There's so many of these things you can use. You can make little cat food cans with holes punched in the side. You can put in, out of beer cans, there's little homemade ones made out of aluminium that weigh virtually nothing. This, just for the sake of this video, I'm just using a standard, it's not even a genuine transient, it's just a replica of one. So it pretty much comes with a lid. You put your fuel in, lid with an O-ring, a snuffer and a simmering, so if you're trying to fry something or something like that, you can actually put this over it and make it a smaller flame. These have been around for a long time. Most people know what they're all about. So with these, as with the little esbit style stove or the solid fuel type stove, you need a windscreen. Put that there for a minute. I think get a chance to prime up. We'll put our 400 mils of water in our pot. Water mils in. The stove's still just warming up a little bit. You have to let these stoves prime a little bit, and the only thing you have to watch out for with these alcohol stoves is the flame can quite often be invisible. At night time you can see it. It's a nice clear flame, and as it gets warmed up, the stove sort of preheats, and then the flames actually start to come out of those the ring with all the little holes in it, and you get a more efficient burn then. And they do the job well, but they also need a windscreen. These fuels that aren't pressurised by ever being in a gas cartridge or in a pump up cartridge, they do need a little bit of a time to prime up. And they definitely need some protection from the wind, because they just don't ignore the wind like the pressurised fuels can. So we'll put that on there, roughly in the middle, pretty close to it. Let's start that stopwatch and we'll see how that one goes. I'll get back. Okay, we're starting to come onto the boil there. You can hear it sizzling away, and that's at 5 minutes and 55 seconds. So that works all right. That's a good mid-weight one. The handle's hot, as you can see now. Now it's just primed up properly. You can see what the flame actually looks like. And you've got to treat these guys with a bit of caution. You can do it so that once you've been using them a while, you can work out how much fuel they need to boil, and you can just put just the right amount of fuel in. Now, with these a snuffer, you can snuff that guy out. They get going, they've got a lot more heat potential, I think, than the little solid fuel stoves. Although you can always put a few of those little tablets in to get more heat. One of these will run, this little one, it gets about 20 minutes of go time out of it from a full tank. They don't hold that much, and they do a good job. These are very popular because they don't make a lot of noise. The fuel's cheap and readily available, just a bit of methylated spirits. And there's so many different ones you can make up yourself. Just carry a little bit of methylated spirits with you and it seems to do the job. Very usable for people who are versed to it. There is a couple of little things that I'd say, just the fact that the fuel is, when it's burning, it's virtually invisible. When it's lit, you can't tell. Obviously, if you were to tip this over, you'd have a big flash fire because it is a liquid fuel. So you really want to watch and be careful when using these ones. They're not the most safe in that way, but yet again, lots of them can be dangerous if you sort of neglect to do what you're meant to do. Anyway, on to the next one. Okay, last but definitely not least is a Coleman Fuel stove. These guys run on, you can run them on unleaded petrol, gasoline. You can run them on white Coleman Fuel. Australia we call it here shellite. There's all different little things. These guys fit in somewhere different. 400ml, spilled a bit there. These are a bit heavier obviously, so these wouldn't be thought of as a classic lightweight hiker stove. But with that said, not everyone's using them just for hiking. You might, if weight's not quite so critical, these things have a lot of horsepower, so you might find these things are suitable for, if you're kayaking or car camping, you want something still compact. Now these you have to let, I guess, prime up, I guess. These guys don't really need a windscreen, although of course a windscreen would help any of them, but these guys don't really need it, a bit like the gas one. Hopefully got enough fuel on this. There wasn't much fuel in there. These guys are pretty powerful. You can see that sort of going there, it turns into a nice blue jet. Put that on there. Let that handle up a little bit so I don't burn myself on it. And we'll start the timer there. And that should only take, I reckon it's going to be pretty quick. As long as it doesn't run out of petrol, we'll find out. Okay, that guy's getting pretty close now. I see these guys are very similar to the gas ones. Yeah, it's just coming onto the ball now. 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That's pretty quick. The fuel density, I guess, of the gas and the things like shellite is very high compared to, I think it's about twice the amount of BTUs in things like shellite than what there is in alcohol. So I guess they're expected to be a bit quicker. Pros and cons with these guys. This, like the alcohol stoves, it doesn't worry about the cold or elevation. This thing works just as good if it's like -2 as what it does if it's 32. They do really well. The alcohol stoves do well in that scenario. The only one that sort of starts to let you down in the cold is the actual gas one. These don't really need a windscreen like the solid fuel ones and the gas and the alcohol. These guys are pretty wind resistant, as you can see. Obviously, any of them, if you had a windshield, it's going to help. In all but the strongest of the winds, the gas and these ones do quite well. I think it's just excessively powerful. These can be turned down low enough to simmer with, as the gas ones can. Petrol ones, I said for frying, I actually prefer the petrol one because it gives a flame that spreads out. So there's some good advantages, pros and cons to each one. If I was just starting out in it or just had to hand one to one of the kids to use, I would probably first off choose the gas one. I'd probably go secondary either the alcohol or the solid fuel tablets, and last would be this one. So this guy's a bit more of a niche one. This one is very cheap to run if you run it on unleaded petrol, for instance, because it's the price of petrol. Shellite's a bit dearer, but it burns a bit cleaner. Alcohol one can dirty up the bottom of your pot a tiny bit. The little solid fuel ones can burn up the pot quite bad. And this one on unleaded petrol can burn it up, make it a bit black. When it's running on the shellite or the Coleman fuel, it doesn't do it. And also the gas one's quite clean on the bottom of your pots. So depending on what cookware you're using, but as you can see here, we've just done use all of them. It's not substantially bad. And most of that probably would have come from the little solid fuel one. So none of them are terrible on your cookware. Okay, just as a quick recap on all these things. For economy, these guys are probably the cheapest to run because they just run on petrol or shellite, which is a bit dearer, but the petrol is extremely cheap. The alcohol is very cheap. These are reasonably user-friendly and they're quiet. These guys are a bit noisy, very, very straightforward, but it just screws on and off and it's a one valve light. It's very similar to what you use at home, I guess. The little esbit style one, the solid fuel tabs, These are good. Compared to these, they're almost a bit of a toy. But with that said, if you're after the ultimate in lightweight, these can really work out well for you. They do work, and they're affordable to run, and they also work well in the cold weather and high altitudes. So lots of things to pick from, and realistically they're all that cheap. You can have a few different ones and try and really work out for yourself. Fossil fuels obviously got usually more BTUs than alcohol, but in the real world you don't actually for how much fuel you got to carry, you don't notice much difference in weight. These are all very similar in weights, except for this guy. This guy's a bit heavy. But he's very powerful, especially at high altitude. These guys will run a little bit poorly when it's really cold or at high altitude. These guys don't seem to worry about that. Anyway, if this is the kind of video you like and you want to see more of this type of stuff, subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoyed this particular video, please give it a thumbs up as it helps the channel. Anyway, bye for now.